Yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
What is up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC. Never a dull moment. A lot of news to talk about. Jordan Henderson, that massive January signing we're all hoping for, right? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, right, Al.
Right.
All right. Nobody's hoping for that, okay? But we do have a little bit of news there. I kind of tackled what I thought is kind of happening at Juventus right now, which we'll get to. But Thiago Djalo is done. That's another one from under the noses of Inter Merda. Love that one, okay? Chalk him up next to Bremer, okay? But we'll talk about the details on that. I said we would talk a little bit about Jordan Henderson, as that's their Samardzic, the latest on Samardzic. But also Manu Kone. Manu Kone with some interesting bit of news surrounding him. And then positive news on Chiesa and Rabiot as we look to avenge our only loss of the season against Sassuolo on Tuesday. All right, so we'll go there. Animesh asking, how the hell did we even get linked to Henderson in the first place? All right, but I mean, I guess we can kind of start things off here with this whole thing with Henderson, because it was like almost immediately after the Samardzic news that got us all hyped up that Juve is trying to get it done this mercato. And then all of a sudden you get to Jordan Henderson. Ciao, Sev. And I will say this. This is how I took it. And I think I maybe wasn't as clear as I intended to be on the daily update video yesterday, because I felt like people were misunderstanding me. I don't want Jordan Henderson, all right? But what I'm going to say is this. What I think's happening at Juventus is they're not in a rush to maybe sell some of the guys that they can. Like Kostic, like maybe Illing Jr. if he was going to be sold. I think Juve realizes they can still be very, very useful and purposeful down the stretch for this season. So I also think a guy like Samardzic, if we are going to bring him in this summer, we might have pissed Udinese off because we circumnavigated them to get the terms with the player and the father, which was smart. A great move by Giuntoli, because that's how it broke down with Inter, and Napoli never had anything with the father. Apparently, it's very, very clear that it's going to be going through the father, okay? Now, brilliant move. But we also took away 20 million plus some bonuses, and most of that money was right now from Napoli to try and bring in Samardzic. So we're not going to be doing that unless we send some money now. But in order to do that, you're going to have to probably move somebody. And I don't think Juve's in a rush to sell anybody. So I think that's why everything's kind of going to slow down. And lo and behold, a day later, after I put the daily update video yesterday and say this, now we're hearing that Samardzic most likely in the summer. But terms are agreed between the player and Juventus, which is great. All right. But I kind of feel like that's what it is. So Henderson, I feel, comes up because if Juventus has an option at low cost, and it's just a loan, no commitment, no 18 months, for the love of God. If they have that possibility, I still think they will bring a midfielder in. And that's kind of how I feel about the situation. Do you guys see it the same as me, or are you? Because why else Henderson? Like, what are we talking about here?
You go first, Lex.
Lex, you kind of agree with me?
Yes, I definitely agree with you, especially the point where you said that Juve is not really in a place right now to rush to sell their players. I think we know that we have value in a lot of our assets. I think that the second half of the season will likely determine who's to stay, who's to go. So I think, like you said, and honestly, I had put a tweet out about this. Al, we talked about this on the podcast as well before. Like, maybe we just don't change anything about this squad in January. And it's very possible that the admin and the managers feel the same about that.
Yeah. And Joe, I think it's fine. We've been saying it for a while here. I think it's fine if this team stays put for the second half of the season.
100%. I mean, no incoming, no outgoing. I'm totally fine with it. If you want to do business for the summer, like you can still get deals done now, like you said with Samardzic, and I think that we've been saying that since we've really been linked with him. Like I want to say since like October or whatever. It's been months that we've been saying that, and yeah, I think I remember your tweet, Lex. It was like hot take: don't touch this team until the summertime. I mean, they're clicking right now, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's good.
Yeah. Now, even if we wanted to bring, and Animesh brings up this point that at this point isn't even better than Nonj. And to be honest, like everybody's finding a way to kind of play their part, but like even at 2 mil for the next 6 months, just save the money because these guys like Nonja can come in and step in a pinch. You know, you've got Cambiasso who's extremely versatile, can even play in there in a pinch. Like that's a big pinch, but we're fine. Like I think we're fine. And to bring in somebody like that doesn't for me, doesn't push the needle. It doesn't push the needle. I don't know if I introduce anybody like that on a 6 month, whatnot, mess with this locker room, mess with the chemistry. Not that he would, not just saying that he would come in and everything would go to hell, but it just, I don't really feel the need, right? But I just feel like Juve on something low cost for just 6 months, nothing further, we'll take a look at some options in the midfield. It still feels like they want some type of security or safety net with some experience. That's what it just seems like to me. But everybody was getting fired up, 18 months, 19 mil. Like, I'm like, no. I cannot see Juventus. And this is one of the things that I have full faith in Giuntoli, everybody. I really, really do. I think we've seen subtle signs already. And Mana was doing a good job of cleanup before Giuntoli actually came into the position. But I don't think Juve's doing anything outside of Juve's terms. Basically. They're not going to get into anything. There's not going to be anything, any type of commitment on something that, if it sounds like, oh man, we shouldn't be doing this, I don't think they're going to be doing it. Giuntoli, I think, is just way too good for that. And I have full faith that if something like this were to go down, it's going to be 6 months, safety net, see you later, low cost. Which, would it really be the end of the world if that's what ended up happening? No.
No, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Oh, you go, Lex.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
It wouldn't be the end of the world, but I think I mentioned it. I forget where I mentioned it. It was probably the Empire State group chat. They were asking like, oh, if we sign Henderson, like what are the pros, what are the cons? And honestly, I couldn't think of a whole lot of pros, but that's also just me being negative. But the biggest con for me is that if Allegri ends up liking this player, he's going to be taking away playing time from other players like Miretti, like Nonj, Hans, even. So that was the biggest negative that I could think of. But
Yeah. And Lex?
Exactly. I had the same thought. Honestly, it was just taking away opportunity from our younger players who we finally see start to gel, start to get into the game more. And I think that's where we're drawing a lot of this success from. So I feel like if this player that we potentially brought in was okay with being like a depth midfielder, riding the bench, then cool. But likely they're not going to be, especially. So I think that you have to weigh those options, like you said, Joe.
Yeah, it's just it's one of these things with the rumors as well. We take everything with the grain and salt and whatnot, right? But the latest reports with Max that he's unconvinced of Jordan Henderson. No shit. But we're gonna talk about Max too because I have a little. It's not so much Alberto bomb, okay, but it's just some rumblings, all right. And some of the rumblings are that the possibility is opening up with a turning of the tide in Turin for Allegri to have a different role in the future. Whether that be when his contract ends or even next season and whatnot. But there is a possibility opening up, and it's going to still all depend on Max Allegri. And we've kind of been saying this for a while. Even him continuing and everything, contract extension, I think it's all going to lay on Max and fall on Max. But there is the possibility of him having a different role within management in the future at Juventus. Whether that be some type of intermediary between the youth sector to the first team, etc. Something that's been hinted by many Juventini, but there is the possibility for Max to have a different role there. Now, it's interesting because it literally, I brought this up on the last post-match show with Anthony and myself, and I said it was a interesting suggestion. Now, I'm not saying this is exactly what's being rumored, but there have been Juventini that have talked about it. And in the official fan club of Vancouver in the group chat, Silvio put out, we should jump on Thiago Motta before anybody else does. And Max should be in charge of the talent jumping between youth sector to the senior side. I just want to get your thoughts on something like that going down and what your thoughts would be on it. Number one, Max in that role. Number two, jump on Motta before anybody? What do you think?
Well, for number one, Max in that role, I think, first of all, it would be funny, it'd be ironic, considering kind of the bad rep that Max gets around, like, not playing youngsters, although he seems to have disproven that statement this season. I think it would be really interesting to look at. I think because looking at, like, the history of Max and which players he chooses to have their debut under him, he seems to have a knack for picking the good ones. You know what I mean? Like from the debut he gave to Yildiz, which we all know how Yildiz has turned out, Pogba, some other youngsters, and Max seems to have had a pretty large role in hand selecting those players. So he seems to have a high standard for his youngsters. So, you know, when he selects one, that they are going to be the real deal, basically, right? So I think that it would be interesting to see him in that role. And he's obviously has a good affiliation and relationship with the club, especially the fact that he's had this second stint here with us. So I think he would definitely be sticking around. I can see that happening for sure. And as for the Thiago Motta question, I think Thiago Motta is a very interesting pick. I think that I'm a fan of his. I'd like to see how Bologna does the second half of the season. Hasn't started out the best, but I do think that it'll be interesting to see this next section of the season. Maybe we can use that to weigh, but you know, who we want to take next. But I think that, yeah, definitely interesting prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. And Joe, your thoughts on Max, if that were to be a role in the future, and your thoughts on Motta?
I mean, my knee-jerk reaction to hearing Allegri in a youth role, I was like, I mean, I don't quite see it as much as everybody else, and I guess I mean, Lex put it very, very well. He does have a knack for all of that stuff. It's just that I guess that's not what I appreciate the most about Max. And if you were to have a role at the club, that's not what I would think he would occupy. But that, again, that's just me. The thing I appreciate most about Max is that he's very steady and pragmatic, and he seems to just be a very level guy. I mean, until he like rips his jacket off. But I always thought of him as kind of like, and I mean, all the players have said this too. He's a very good motivator, and he's a very, very good at disseminating his ideas to the team, especially in those like really hectic situations. And we saw how he handled last season, kind of steadying the boat with all of that controversy going around. So I always thought of him as kind of like something like that at the club. Maybe not so much a youth role, but again, just my thought. And Thiago Motta, again, Lex, I think, is 100% right. I'm not wholly convinced. They were playing really well up until, you know, the halfway point of the season, and kind of shaky at the start of the second half. We'll see where they end up. But I mean, anything could happen. So still
Yeah.
early.
See, the thing with first off with Mota for me is I think he's probably in line more so than some of the other guys that are getting hyped up.
Mm,
What I appreciate
yeah.
about him is the fact that he does take an approach to each game to the opponent that they're about to face while making subtle adjustments that still don't detriment his side, really. So that's what I appreciate the most about Mota. What I hate about Mota is his links with Inter and his past, all right? And that
Can't
that
trust him.
absolutely kills me. However, it's coaching, and we've seen this all the time. And coaches coaching rivals and whatnot, and we've been through it. We've been through it with one of our legends as a player, Conte. But it is what it is, right? But Max, and we got this, and Ant and I were coming out on the post-match show, and everybody, and his contract extension is up for discussion now for 2 years, and apparently Elkan will maybe propose a 2-year extension to Max Allegri. And I said, look, I'm uncertain, but we can't not give Max credit. Okay, and everybody's saying, well, you know what, now you guys are flip-flopping well, yeah, because he's finally doing what I wanted him to do from the start, which is get results. So when your team is getting the results now, you can acknowledge that we probably still need some quality on the roster, some help. Is it the right time now when he's finally delivering? One of the main things that came up was, how can we judge without a Champions League season? Which I found interesting. But this is why I say these decisions are extremely tough. Nothing changes where Anthony and I were in the summer. Okay? In the summer, based on what I saw in the 2 years, I lost trust. That's what it all comes down to, everybody. I didn't have trust. I didn't trust that Max could turn the ship around the way he has this season. I had little trust that he could turn it around to what we're seeing today, which I think is finally an identity and something to build off of. I lost trust. Now he's showing me, okay? Now he's showing me that he can. And Ant and I kind of disagreed on the fact that what we're doing right now is building. I think we're building because Ant says, well, no, he's not a builder. Well, but now he's proving us wrong. This is a build. Look at the young talent that is being played. Our roster has so many 23 and unders all over the pitch. Vlahovic, Weah, Keane, Fagioli when he was in there, Miretti, Yildiz, Cambiaso. The list goes on and on. Like, is this not a build? Is he not building? He's doing what I doubted, okay? Now the big question is, and this is why I say Juventus has so many difficult decisions upcoming for them when it comes to roster, but even at the coaching spot. Because let's just say you got to come down to this. Would you change coaches in this moment? You have to ask yourself the question, is that going to be better overall? What if there's more transition required there than finally maybe sticking for a 1 year? Maybe do a 1 year. Maybe do a 1 year with Max so it doesn't end next season, but you give one more year. Because then you can judge off that Champions League season that everybody thinks is going to make or break. But for me, you have to become a force domestically and grow into this European contender like we were during that decade of dominance. But how do you guys feel? Can we judge just off this season alone? Do you want to see what happens next season in Champions League? How do you feel about this extension talk?
Joe, you want to go?
Lifetime contract. No, I'm just kidding.
What, Alexandro? The Alexandro contract?
Oh, God.
Fino alla fine. The Fino alla fine contract, I call that one.
Yeah, where it's just like 1 year in perpetuity until he collapses. I mean, my brain immediately went to like that one season where we hired Sari and we fired him after winning the Scudetto. So like we set a precedent that we don't care what happens. Um, we'll still get rid of you if something's not working. I don't get that vibe with Allegri necessarily. I think he has a great relationship with the club. And yeah, like you said, Al, I think he's proving a lot of people wrong. I know that I've been on the record saying that I want to see him gone at the end of the summer, but he's really changing my mind on this. I
Yeah.
would like to see him with the Champions League. I right now there's just too much momentum that's been built up and too many positives that I've been seeing that it you can't not at least give him a 1 year contract. It just it wouldn't seem right. And on top of that, I don't know of what other coaches would be readily available to step in and take over. And then even at that point, we don't know what we'd be getting. So it's like,
Yeah.
what risks are you willing to stomach on that?
It's gonna be very, very interesting. And like I said, Juve's got a lot of decisions. Like this summer, I think is gonna get a little crazy. We'll talk about news, but Lex, the contract extension 1 year. Do you have to wait to see what happens in Champions League, or are you kind of where do you sit right now on the extension talks?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, like Joe, you said it so well. Like, you asked me 6 months ago, I would have been like, yeah, I need him gone in the summer. Like, new coach, let's move on type of thing. And it's like now you're just stuck in a place where we've endured so much turmoil as a club over the last 2 seasons that now that we've finally reached a place where I feel confident and I feel comfortable with where the team is at and the club, it's like now I'm not so sure I want to change that, and
Yeah.
especially going forward. I think, like, honestly, I think it would be hilarious if Allegri walked away. I feel like that's the more realistic thing that would happen. Maybe he does take our contract extension, but imagine wins the Scudetto this season and then walks away. Screw all of you. Like, I did what you all said I couldn't do. Like, I'm leaving, Like, something like that happens out of
Yeah.
it. But I think, like, in terms of Europe and looking at Champions League, he's done it before. And I think even this season, especially, has made me realize, and looking at some other teams that are like balancing Europe for the first time with domestic league, makes you realize that it's a whole different ball game. Like
Yeah.
playing in Europe as well as having to balance all of that. And I mean, Max did that extremely well back in his first stint with us. So I think that he is proven in that regard. So it would be interesting to see, maybe let him play out that last year with Champions League, see how that goes, see if we win a trophy this season. Like, there's so many questions, like you said, Berto. Like, this summer is going to be extremely decisive for the club.
Well, it's huge. It's huge because let's say people think, okay, no, we do have to get a change. You do have to change from Max. Well, you have to ask the question, is that the most beneficial thing? Do we have the players for set coach who wants to come in? Do we have enough to fulfill a formation change that he wants to do? Are we going to have enough resources to make these moves and be as strong going in? You start changing the chemistry. You start changing the chemistry, and when it doesn't need to be maybe messed with. It's an interesting one. It's not so clear cut anymore, and that is a credit to Max that absolutely nobody can take away. So we got to show props to Max. Okay, enough is enough, and people that are still sticking to the Allegri out, well, I question what the hell it's really all about for you. Is it actually about Juventus thriving and succeeding, or is it just about a personality? And that's what I question, because for me, players coaches, they come and go. What always stays is the club, the badge. And that's what it's all about. My criticisms have always been, and my opinions have always been formed about what I think is the best for Juventus. And right now, I have no clue what's best for Juventus. When you start talking about coaching changes, I have no idea. And yes, it is. It's agendas, RB.
I was just going to say
agendas.
agenda. That's
You know?
what matters most, your agenda.
Yeah, you got to have an agenda.
Now, we got a question, and you guys, this is a free-for-all. This is like an impromptu live, so storm the barn, fire away with your questions, okay? Thiago Djalo, done deal, $3.5 million to Lille, 10% sell-on clause, contract to 2028 for Juventus, and his medical set to go down this Wednesday. One of the questions is coming in here. I'm trying to find it because the chat kind of got carried away, but said, where would you play Thiago Djalo? So right here from Luciano, okay? Number one, he can play anywhere across the back. Left back, right back, and center back, either left or right. Honestly, I still want to see more because I will say, from what I've seen, I can't really determine where I think the best spot would be, but I'm going to say probably on the left side. But Joe, where would you slot him in? And to be fair, he's still got to recover, everybody. He started training in full after a serious injury. And this is another knock that some have thrown out towards this deal for Juventus. You're getting an injured player. Look, it's low risk at $3.5 million. And it could be a big reward if he finds the form he was in before that injury, because he was crucial for Lille. I don't mind taking a shot at that for 3.5 mil. Like, I'm fine with that. But Joe, where would you play him?
I would play him on the left side, honestly. Yeah, that seems to be I don't want to say a hot commodity position. That's not the right word, but that's what I'm going to say. And using my honorary Portuguese card here, he's a very, very talented player. Heard nothing but good things. I've seen some of his replays from his Sporting Lisbon days. The kid's got a lot of talent back there. And like you said, Al, he was crucial for Lille in Ligue 1. And, I mean, it's a low risk, potentially high reward here. He's young. I don't think that he's going to, fingers crossed, he doesn't have a lot of future injury problems. But, yeah, he's very talented. So this could be huge.
Yeah. Interfan salty all over Twitter calling him trash. Yeah. Just like Bremer. He was trash too,
Mm-hmm.
They called him.
Yeah, he was trash.
Yeah. Yeah. Dang.
He's no good.
Lex, where would you play Djalo, and what do you think about this move at 3.5 for someone recovering from a serious injury?
I think it's low risk. You guys covered it very well. I think if he can play on the left, as you mentioned, then I think that's beneficial to our team. I think, honestly, there's a lot of positives. He's friends with Weah, right? So, I mean, he's already got some chemistry with the squad. And I think even the whole question of bringing in an injured player, I mean, players recover. Like, I think there's no reason to not take a chance on him. We've seen now Kyle George's back from a serious injury. Like, it's what happens. So I'm, like you said, low risk. Like, I'm willing to see where this takes us. Like, I don't know a lot about him. Haven't seen him play very much, but
Yeah.
I trust your ball knowledge, Joe. You said he's got some talent. You as well, Alberto. So I'm looking forward to seeing this.
There we go. There we go. So Thiago Djalo, done deal. We wait to see if anything else goes down. We got a storm the barn coming in from RB Comps. Reminder, everybody, take a second, drop a like there, okay? And if you got anything out of the show that you would like to clip and share, we would appreciate that, and we love it when you share our content, all right? If it was Jordan Henderson or no midfielder, what would you choose? A new bag of game balls for the team to train with it, probably, I think. But if it was, like I said, it's not the be-all, end-all if he comes in with no commitment. 6 months, you spend $2 million for some coverage. But honestly, I would rather, if it came down to coverage, I'm very, very intrigued by Nonje. I really, really am. Okay. I'm not trying to go overboard. I don't want to create something that, but from what I'm seeing, I think there's like a lot there and we got to. Okay. Are we back? We're
We're,
back.
we're back.
Wow. No idea what went down there. Okay. I hope everybody's still in here. Joe, lost Joe.
Oh,
The topic of Jordan Henderson killed the stream. Okay. Jordan Henderson killed the stream. No, we're back. We're back. Okay. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Henderson curse. If this is the first time that's ever happened, it's Jordan Henderson. So the answer is no midfielder,
no.
if that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
Okay?
no midfielder.
Holy hell. RB trying to take us out with that question. Okay. Listen. Yeah, it's just again, going back to what I was saying about Nonj. I don't want to go too crazy. I don't want to get, things really fired up or way too advanced than what they should be, but there are similarities there from a young Paul Pogba, okay? And that has me very, very intrigued about him. And if we're bringing somebody in for coverage or whatnot, really, let's get those minutes to the young guys. Let's get the Nonj in there and whatnot. And if you're not going to be loaning out Caviglia, you're not going to be loaning out Miretti and whatnot, let them keep getting their mix. Because one of the things I said out of our last game, and I'm curious to get your thoughts if you agree or not, everybody, we always want to get set in our 1A lineup. Like, this is it. This is the way we should be set, whatnot. But I think it's very important for us. I think that we need to rotate all the guys in and keep them sharp. In one competition, I don't want to see the same guys game in, game out, over and over and over. I think it's actually very, very important, almost more so when you're in one comp, to actually rotate them. What do you guys think? Do you want to see more rotation? Because Rugani should not be shut out with the season
That's
that
a good
he
point.
was putting together when he came in for coverage. I still want to see him in there. Miretti, even though I think alone will do a lot for him, I still want to see him in there. I still want to see him get a decent share of minutes. When Chiesa's fit and healthy, I don't want Yildiz to just be put on the back burner. We can't. So you have to, right?
Yeah.
Why does my brain? Whenever I think of this thing, it's like, how in F1 they say that they don't have a first driver and a second driver, but everyone knows that they do. That's kind of where my head is at currently. But when it comes to starting lineup, we know that there will be those guaranteed starters, right? Minutes are going to be really, really tough to come by, especially in one competition. I don't know, maybe Lex can speak more to it because, she's an actual player. But I don't know. I see the value in wanting to rotate as much as you can to make sure everyone gets their minutes and whatnot. I guess it's a kind of game by game sort of decision where, you see who's in form, you see who the opponent is, and you kind of go from there. And I feel like Allegri is he might be taking that approach a little bit more, as opposed to Sandro's healthy, let's put him in. We haven't necessarily seen that. So that's where my head's at with this.
Lex, your thoughts on the rotation?
I think it's well said, Joe. As you mentioned there at the end, with Allegri seeming to have changed a little bit of that perspective, I think that's a great point to make. One to be said, I believe it was in the league play, yes, when he switched out Ealing for Kostic at halftime. And I remember that substitution. Ealing came on and scored after, and I remember that substitution shocking me. It was something that I think the past 2 seasons Max would never have done ever. So I think that's just to be said about him adapting and changing his own coaching style. And we see, like you said, him being more like desiring more to make those rotations, let those players find their minutes. Because we also mentioned, like, we see players when you don't get those minutes or when you play well and then you're sitting on the bench for like 8 games or 6 games or something, you lose that form again, right? So I know that was a big criticism even towards Illing when he did come on the field. It was like, oh, he hasn't had a lot of minutes. How do we change that? How do we keep all of our players fresh? I think that's via rotation, as we mentioned. And I think that especially when you play in Europe, right now it's a little different because we're not, but when you do play in Europe, having a deep bench, those are the teams and the squads that make it the furthest. Like, you have to have a deep bench and you have to be able to draw that quality from at any point in your squad. Like, you need to be able to have players that can come off the bench and make an impact. Because in every game, it's going to be a different player's game, and that's what I've noticed when I've been following along too. And you see, even stars or like leading players for teams, sometimes it's not their day. Like, you watch a game and maybe one day they're not as impactful. They don't have any goals, they don't have any assists, but it was someone else's turn to step up, right? Like, we saw that from Milik in the Coppa Italia game, for example. Like, someone, and I think they asked him that question. They were like, do you see yourself as like a backup player or a backup striker? And I thought like his response to that was very insightful. Like, he was like, I think he said something along the lines of no, I'm a Juventus player. Like, I play for the team. I don't see myself as a backup or some type of hierarchy. And I thought that was extremely like telling of that's just the type of mentality you need to have within the squad. So when we speak about rotations, yes, I would welcome that. And I think that we've been doing a better job at that as well.
Yeah. Like, and it's funny because we go back to people wanting to judge next season with Champions League, right? But another reason why the rotation could be key is, they bring up Kostic in the live chat, which Kostic needs to be, I think, rotated. All right. I think Kostic needs to be rotated, and Illing Jr. can use those minutes again, depending on what the future holds for some of these guys. But these moments, these minutes now help us next season. Even if we bring in ready now talent and these guys go to the bench next season, get them as much experience, get them as many minutes as you can, and just keep it rolling, right? But as far as what we're going to do up top, 3-4-3, Yildiz, Dusan, Chiesa, like, Max has so many options now that are opened up, and that's a credit to the players we do have currently. We know, and like, right now, what they're doing is fantastic. Would they be doing this in a Champions League season? Well, that's where things get stretched out. The rotation is not a matter of a question. It's a must. It's a need in a Champions League season. Would it affect what we do in Serie A? Yeah, I think there would be some effects from playing that much, for sure. But that's why it's key that the guys we have to be ready when called upon, no matter what the minutes are. And I've been saying this all the time, like, people are like, oh, you're too harsh on Illing Jr. He hasn't played in a while. You got to be ready. You have to be ready in a one competition season. And this is where I think those Max haters don't really give him enough credit for what he's doing, because the age-old tale with Max and young guys is that he doesn't use them, he doesn't want them, etc., whatnot. Well, Illing Jr. did nothing against like Salernitana's Z side, as Ant like to call it. They were like, he really didn't show much, to be honest, And it's a stretch just to give him some credit to say it allowed Chiesa to be able to do certain things. Okay, great. But all in all, I'd expect more against that Salernitana side. Max plays him the very next opportunity he gets and starts him again. And crickets. We have to get rotation going. You got to get these guys the minutes and see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised, like I was saying, even through all the Illing Jr. rumors and all this, I said I wouldn't be surprised if he stays, to be honest. Like, why do you want to mess with this team? Going back to Max Allegri, why do you want to mess with anything? McKennie, like, he's in a discussion right now that He might not be that guy that in this past summer we were like, oh yeah, we could easily use him. He's expendable. He might not be expendable anymore. Like McKennie, credit to him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. If you have to sell, let's say we have to make a move, you got to sell 2 players, this current roster. Who are the 2 guys you're choosing?
Ooh.
The guys
We've been
currently
talking about
on
that
this
a
list.
lot in
Not
the
that we
Empire State
own,
group chat, I
not
can
that's
tell you
out there,
that.
but currently on this roster. 2 guys. Oh, yeah.
Do it.
So LJJ
Be
saying
super
Sule. I'm
controversial.
talking current roster. Let's say we got to
Current
move
roster.
2. Let's
Current
not put
roster.
Sule in there. What? So Keane comes up as 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got 2.
Okay, so Lex, who are your 2? If you
Keane
have,
and
we have to
Kostic.
draw funds and move 2.
Keane and Kostic.
That's
Yeah,
probably
definitely Kostic. Definitely Kostic. God, another one. Gotta think. That's tough. I could be controversial, but I don't know how much I want to like. Nah, I'll say Keenan Kostic too. Those seem to be the 2 like real. I don't want to say weak links, but they seem to be the ones that we could
yeah.
be be the most expendable.
Kostic for sure. Now, what's for me? It's Kostic. I got this almost maybe a soft spot for Moise Keane. I really, really want it to work out with us or not, but I'm probably gonna say Keane. Sandro, it has to be Kostic and Sandro. Sandro just needs to go. Okay, we got our guys access. Sandro, those rumors about Flamengo out of Brazil coming in to get Sandro, my word, I would gladly pick Sandro up, carry him on my back to the airport, make sure the flight goes perfectly smooth. We get him over there, okay, and I'll move all his stuff.
Yeah, I'll carry his bags.
I'll move everything for him, okay? But Sandro's done. It's got to happen. But as far as the sales, yeah, those are probably the 2 guys out. Keenan Kostic and whatnot. Massive credit to Weston McKennie from a guy that we were all looking at. And that last game was video game shit. Like, where was that coming from? I was blown away. The distribution, not only that, the moves. He had that one sequence where they just couldn't get the ball from him and his touch gets away from him. He's running to the sideline. He pulls the 360 spin, works his way out of it. I'm like, who is this guy? It was literally mad.
I think it's interesting too, especially when you watch on TV versus in person. My brother had the chance to go watch a couple games live. He watched Juve Lazio and Juve Sassuolo earlier this fall. And he said to me, one thing that he noticed that immediately from watching the game live was how much running McKennie did. Yeah. How much running McKennie did. He said he was by far the hardest worker on the field, he said, out of anyone that was playing. And 2, he said he was very surprised at his technical ability. Like, I know he kind of has a bad reputation. People kind of try to be like, oh, like he's not a technical midfielder. He said he was like pleasantly surprised at that. He thought he was actually in person, in his opinion, and obviously he's a professional player, so he's going to be good at it. But he thought he was very impressed by it. And like I said, again, like his hard work. And I think that just goes to show you like this insane turnaround that he's had this season. Like you said, all credit to him for that. Like it's been such a massive help.
Yeah, the things I say stand out this season with him are, number one, his endurance. Because he always worked hard, but like he would fade in games because he'd get gassed out. Like his endurance is way, way better. And his 1v1 ability is actually decent. Like he's surprising me. He's got a little bit of technical flair there, enough to beat guys.
Yes, that little push hit before the assist on the Milik goal, he like freezes the ball and then pushes it forward to like make that space to chip the ball in behind. Like, yeah, it was great, honestly.
It's surprise. He's caught me way off guard this season, and it's a pleasant surprise. He's starting to put himself amongst those ranks of guys that flew under the radar, but were crucial to Juventus. Their history, right? Like all these guys that were hard workers would go out there, get the job done. They weren't the flashiest. They weren't the most skills. They weren't superstars, but they were critical for Juventus. Weston is putting that together this season. And contract extension talks follow. No problems with it. It'll probably be at a decent salary. And yeah, he kind of deserves it. He deserves it. I would say if he's in the discussion, a guy that we said is expendable in the summer, now all of a sudden, we've got Animesh saying that Locatelli, Rabiot, and McKennie is undroppable. Okay? I'm trying to find it in the comments here. It might be far gone now from when it was, but he said that midfield is undroppable. Yeah, but the rotation still has to happen. But I always had my doubts about McKennie and Rabiot sharing a midfield and the lack of creation and everything like that. But what Weston's doing is probably the most critical out of those three midfielders because he is actually interchanging with the flank. Whether it's Weah or Cambiasso, and it's creating problems for the teams we face. Because you either got one of Cambiasso or Weah out there, and the speed will kill you. But all of a sudden, they'll become inverted, and then they're very pacey for midfielders to try and kind of keep tabs with. But then McKennie will drift out there, and he can create problems. He's finding ways to have an impact, and it's doing really good. As far as Weah goes, I do believe Weah will improve. It's crazy he was so damn good in the preseason. And when the season starts, we were like, man, where is this the same guy? But I do have faith in Weah, and I actually think there's a lot to his game that, we've only scratched the surface. I think it'll come good. Shout out to Papa McKennie, who said, just play Weah and McKennie on the right side all along their U.S. men's national team friends and whatnot. It's interesting. But Cambiasso can't really be denied either. But maybe you got Weah on the right, Cambiasso on the left. Options for Max. Options for Max.
Options. Going back to the midfield, I know some people mentioned it too after the Cup game. I really did like Miretti, Locatelli, and McKennie as well as our midfield trio. I really, really liked that midfield as well. I felt it was very well balanced. I think like the Locatelli-Miretti chemistry has been there since last season, like when we used to see those flashes of them playing together and we were like, finally, I feel like we just get the best out of Locatelli when he's playing with Miretti, especially having Miretti inject that creativity into our midfield, McKennie playing that type of like, workhorse, but also still technical player role allows just like I said, a great balance. I think that is also a great option for us to have, especially because for a while it felt like we were heavily relying on Rabiot and his ability to stay fit, right? So,
yeah, it's like I said, there's just so many options now for Max. So many options. You guys, Samardzic, most likely in the summer, okay? But we're hearing a lot of names. Okay, Coop Mainers, Saul, Ederson, okay, Kone today. Kone, apparently some optimism that the deal could be reached in the summer. Like, let's just say out of all these midfielders we're linked in, okay, we can pull the deal for one out of the listed targets. Who do you want the most? Saul, Ederson, Coop Mainers, Samardzic, Kone. We'll say with those five, who do you want the most in the summer? You can only bring one out of that group. And we could throw Sudakov in there too. Say you can only
I was
bring
going to say, I would bring in Samardzic just because I think the qualities that he has would greatly benefit the team. He plays an attacking midfielder role. And I mean, if we do in fact loan Miretti out, like you've been saying, Al, for a very long time, like he could use a loan. Bring in Samardzic, he kind of occupies that same sort of space. I think we'd be golden.
Yeah. Lex?
Ooh, it's a tough one because bringing Samardzic, you get to see Inter fans and Napoli fans cry. But but
Napoli fans have been doing a lot of crying this year, let's be honest.
Lately,
So
yeah.
it's
they
at this
have. I
point,
know.
it's almost just ridiculous.
I thought they were like nearing relegation or something. They're what, 2 points off top four now? It's like you guys are so dramatic.
Oh, yeah. Hypersensitive. The most sensitive fan base on the planet, probably.
Oh man. But I think honestly, I think bringing in Samardzic, I do love my attacking midfielders. Everyone knows that. It would be interesting looking at like I think we'd have to move someone at that point though, possibly. As you said, we do have a lot of players that seem to fulfill that player profile. But I still think out of those names I would like to see Smartits there, even though he would kind of bring in different questions for the squad. But
Yeah. For me, so we're not even factoring deals. We're not factoring numbers, but yeah, I just think with the potential and everything and what we need, I've remained steady with this. I expect Rabiot to stay. Kone is a good midfielder, but it doesn't really make sense for us. Like, unless you just have, actually, it would be really good depth, like between him and Locatelli. But yeah, Fagioli will be returning. I still think I look for that alternative with Fagioli because it's one of Samardzic or Sudakov for me. And then you have your two-man punch there with Fagioli and either Sudakov or Samardzic, and you keep the rest rolling. I think Caviglia, I have no problems him being the change-up also, like for a Locatelli, whatnot. I know he's been getting mixed reviews from Juventini and whatnot, but honestly, I have no issues with it. So I would stick with my guns to Samardzic or Sudakov, one of those two guys. Guys, reminder, take a second, get those likes up. Pog back part 3. No, it's done. If Juve has a way out, we get out. I told Lex and Joe I had a difficult question. Obviously, a bunch of you saw the short. You guys, the AJC Army asks, this was the worst question, okay? It was so freaking brutal for me, okay? You are starting a club, you can only choose between one of these players. Buffon, Zidane, Del Piero. Who do you pick to start your club and why?
Oh, God.
what?
That's not fair, dude.
While you guys think about it, I know, because it took me forever. This is how I landed on it, okay? Obviously, you had the GOAT in net, Buffon. Love him, okay? There's not enough words to express what I feel about Gianluigi Buffon, but I will not start between the pipes, okay? And it's strictly a positional thing that I don't go with Buffon. But there's no wrong answer here, everybody, okay? Zidane, one of my favorite midfielders, one of the best midfielders all time. Game breaker, game changer. Can dominate teams on his own, okay? But, and I didn't say this on the short, but I have a little bit of bad feelings with Champions League finals, Zidane kind of ghosting. It's like, there's something holding me back there. I want to say Zidane from like just a one-man perspective dominating teams, but Del Piero pre-injury, I always said would have, if he was on the trajectory for me to be a Ballon d'Or winner, maybe multiple, okay? Speed, dribbling, shooting, vision, creativity, free kick specialist, natural born leader. I go Alessandro Del Piero. My guy. Fuck, that was hard. Now, you guys, I'm putting you on the spot. You got to take one. And we're going to go through here and see Aldo Del Piero. And you know why. Only one answer is right. RB with Buffon. Christine with Buffon. Del Piero. Del Piero.
I think
God.
Zidane, meh. Ooh. Animesh, Gigi, James, Zidane, all damn day. You guys.
Mm. I
I
hate
think
this question, dude.
It's a brutal question. I hate it too. But you
you
got to
brutal
do it.
question. I think that if I had to, um, I would have to go with Buffon personally. Maybe it has to do with my age when I started, becoming a cultural supporter. Buffon's the reason I'm a Juventus supporter. He's the one that, '06 World Cup, that's what got me into the sport, got me into the loving the club. So I think that in that character, like for me, that's the foundation for my club. Although, as you said, obviously Del Piero, Zidane, both two incredible options and shouts. I think for me personally, like I said, probably due to my age, would have to go with Buffon.
There you go.
All right. So I'm torn, okay? Because like ADP, like what Lex said, ADP he's my Roman Empire. All right, like he's just what I think of constantly. He's the guy who got me into the sport. He's the reason why I love the sport, and he's one of the reasons why I'm a Juventus fan. All that being said, um, we're talking about Gianluigi Buffon, probably well, no, in my opinion, the greatest in his position of all time. Of all time. I can't turn my mind away from that. Like it'd have to be Buffon. It'd have to be Buffon. He's just in another stratosphere of player.
There you
It's
go.
got to be him.
Gianluigi Buffon. Two Buffons, one Del Piero, and no Zidane on the panel. No Zidane love on the panel, all right? But it's okay. James Lapierre showing love. Great headbutt and manager too. You know what? That headbutt
We love
was
seeing
so
it.
fantastic for me, obviously, Azzurri supporter. But the fact that it was Materazzi on the other end of it made me so happy, okay? Because if there's anybody off that side you're going to headbutt, he chose the right damn guy to do it. Hey,
For the
Materazzi, and
win-win.
the Azzurri ended up winning it. A shame for it to end, internationally for a guy like that in that manner, but it is what it is. The ex-Juve love showed for the Azzurri. Trezeguet also missing a PK in that one, helping his ex-Juve teammates there. Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was good. But the headbutt on Materazzi, Zidane will always have a special place in my heart just for that. Fantastic. Hell of a midfielder, though. Like, this was brutal for
Oh,
me.
Zizou was amazing.
Man, it was crazy to watch that. And what he did against Brazil in that tournament, like by himself, was unbelievable. Like that game was just crazy. He's sick. He's sick. There was an RB comps question about Lord Deschilio. Didn't mean to skip through there. We got on to a different one, but he said, "How many minutes is Lord Deschilio getting on his return?" You know what? Ant and I made this bet, and we had Lord of Lords, DeShilio. We made this bet that Ant said DeShilio was going to get more minutes this season than Paul Pogba, and my God, it could happen. It could happen. Paul Pogba, man. Jesus, just get your shit checked out. Tell your employer what you're planning on taking. What are we on about here? Storm the barn. Keep getting your questions in. I'm going to ask you guys.
I was gonna say, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of like what we spoke about earlier in the show, when we were talking about max extension, coaches, decisions like that. So noticing recently that our youngsters have started to attract some attention across Europe. I've noticed even like mainstream, like Prem Twitter, some like major accounts are starting to notice what kind of project we have going on here and what kind of talent we have, especially at such a young age. So, do you think that that attracts like could attract a very high profile manager. I saw some comments in the replies, and someone put like Pep's going to be running over to Juve after seeing this talent that they have, this crop of youngsters. So whether or not Pep is running over to Juve, we don't know if we have the funds to support him, but I just thought I'd bring that up. I thought it was an interesting point. Like, what type of attention do you think this is going to be bringing to the club? I think people are starting to catch on. It was a little secret for a while, but not so sure anymore.
Like, it's almost a shame he's not around to kind of get the praise, because people forget that like NextGen is Agnelli. Like, he installed that. He set that up. And it's brilliant. Everybody out there loves the next big thing. Juve NextGen as a whole is just brilliant on so many levels. A marketing thing, as these guys start to roll in, and it's like, oh, here's this guy, here's this guy. You start hearing similarities between Paul Pogba and like between Nanj and Paul Pogba when he was young at Juventus. Yildiz, my word. The fact that he's come in and his bag and goals and whatnot. The Phenom was his nickname when we signed him. Okay? He didn't even make it a full season at Primavera before he went to NextGen and then into the first team. Like, it's wild, right? Dean Huijsen, he's out on loan with Roma and whatnot. They want to jump on him. That's Roma fans and whatnot. I don't care. Make it easier for him to come back. I have no problems there. We got Facundo Gonzalez on a loan in Serie B, highly touted young up-and-comer. These young guys, it gets everybody pumped up. It's smart from that. We know what the Prem is in general. It's a hype train. Okay? It is a massive, massive hype train. It's all about production. That's what it is. They do a great job at it, okay? Naturally, they're going to jump on this. Once we start hyping up these guys and they start delivering and Yildiz is hitting the ground running, yeah, it's only a matter of time before it goes there. It's funny because I had that question last week. What would you value our young players at? Illing, Miretti, Sule, Yildiz. And I said Yildiz for me is already like probably 50 mil, whatever. The latest rumor, it was just reported this morning that his value is probably somewhere around 40 million euros right now, but Juve sees him as untouchable, rightfully so. But if a Prem team came knocking, I said it's even higher than that. Like, screw it, they can pay. But
they got the money.
NextGen's brilliant. It's just been brilliant. It's been nothing but a success. And it's a huge need for the clubs in Italy because of what it does for you financially, right? And the fact that what Lex brings up, now that they're paying attention, guess what that does? That solidifies the intention, the main intention of what it was, that if you get the ones with the money paying attention and they want to buy your players, come on, come correct, show me the money. And we can't keep them all, everybody. We'd love to, but you can't keep them all. Juventus is not a feeder club. Remember that. We're not going to keep every single youngster. Don't get too attached. We can't keep them all. But if you're drawing that kind of attention, massive, massive bonus and kudos to Juventus, because those are the guys that are going to pay, because they're paying for some shit players a lot of money. So yeah, that's the guys we want to attract the attention to. Joe, your thoughts on the whole next gen thing and what Lex talks about the Prem starting to show some attention.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about it with the Empire State people, and like, I can't remember a single point in Juve history when we've had this many promising youngsters. It's shocking to me. It's absolutely stunning. And I mean, just to go back to Lex's original question, I think that it is a big draw for a high profile manager. I think it just depends on what the manager actually, wants to do. Like, would it be Pep? Probably not. I mean, because he would still need a giant wallet with all that stuff. But I mean, it's still, I think it's a big plus for a lot of managers out there to see something like the next gen. And like, we gotta take our hats off to Agnelli for really providing the resources for that. I want everybody to think about this. We have two teams in the top three brackets of Italy right now. That costs a lot of money, and we're seeing the early benefits of having that. So like it's really really something.
It's not slowing down either. Like Aldo brings
No,
up Adzic, that's a done deal too. Popovic, we're gonna be stealing from Milan. It looks like all systems go there. They're not stopping on this young players and next gen and this next wave. Like they're just keeping it rolling. We know that we lost Tognozzi. Okay, he went to Granada to end up being sporting director there, and I was curious about how this project. He was such a massive, massive part of it, but there's no end in sight right now. We're just, keep bagging these young talents, and I love it. I love every second of it. Like I said, next gen also, if they can get next gen promoted and they get the competition of Serie B rather than the third tier, would be massive too, right? But a long way for them to achieve that. But it's still great. And these guys are coming in and they're showing they can play a part, Great stuff. And yes, Joe showing love to Empire State. All the official fan clubs of North America, all right, are fantastic. If you have an official fan club near you or you need help finding one, reach out. Doesn't even have to be in North America because there are amazing fan clubs all over the world. But North America's at 20 now official. And it just keeps growing and growing. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And like I said, little birdie tells me North America will probably be seeing Juventus this summer again. All right, so let's see what happens. Are they going to show a little more East Coast love than they have in the previous years? Let's see. Let's see where they go. Maybe Empire State could be in for a nice little treat, okay? Now, I want to keep some questions going. Joe, do you have any questions? Lex, do you have another one? Keep firing away. Everybody in the Storm the Barn. We have some more time. We have a little bit more time here. I can go as well if you like. But Lex, she's currently playing. Your current player. Now, did I hear something about the team you're involved with becoming part of an association?
Yes. So we're playing at a higher level now. And
Nice.
which is exciting. Some players out of it have gone to the draft, have been promoted to the NWSL. So that's super exciting to see that. There was 30 former players that got drafted, which is huge prospects. I'm super excited. Gives me an opportunity. As you know, like you said, sky's the limit. I did promise a comp, and I still want to release one at some point for everyone. The people of Twitter have told me that they'd like to see it, so that was funny. But
we
There you
want a
go.
comp. We want a comp.
Get the comps going. Get the
gotta get
comps.
the comp going.
Have a
Yeah,
great Sunday, Aldo. Thanks for joining. That's awesome news, though, Lex. That's
thank
wicked.
you.
Obviously, we wish you all the best with that. I seen the clips posted by your team and stuff on Instagram, and it's awesome. Were you league leader in assists?
I was the the assist leader for our league.
And you bagged a bunch of goals yourself, too.
I did, yes. So it was a good season from a points perspective, and our team did pretty well too. So was happy
That's
with it.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome. So
thank
Lex will
you.
definitely keep us posted on how that goes and everything. And yeah, who knows? Who knows? Maybe the Juventus women come calling one day for our
Yeah,
very own
sure.
Lex, and we can break the news officially here on the AJC. You never know. You never know.
A good word for me.
There you go. There you go. Now, we do have a giveaway today. This one, like we said, we drew on the last post-match show the winning official fan club in North America for the signed 84 Ariston kit. Okay? And that was Baltimore. Now, we find out the winning member who gets the signed kit. What we need is a number. We need a number from 1 to 19. So do we let the live decide it, or do we choose a number randomly ourselves? What do you guys think? Let the live do it?
It all depends on who they want to blame. So, yeah.
It all depends on what?
On who they want to blame. It's either us or the live, you know. Whose fate?
We're going to get this thing out of here, okay?
We're getting numbers in.
But,
we're getting some numbers from live.
It's an absolute beauty, okay? And Roberto Bettega, right there in the heart of this thing. And it's folded up nicely, but on the back is all the current team signatures. And we got to pick a number here. So we got numbers flying in here. Oh, man. You guys, let me know. How should we do this? Should we just let one of these guys pick it? Tony Trim, Wing of Winter.
I like 10.
You like the number 10?
Tony with the number there.
Number 10, Tony Trim. That makes the winner Carlo Olivi. Carlo Olivi, congratulations. You are the winner of this beautiful Addystone kit sign. All right. There you go. Carlo Olivi. We will send it out to the fine folks in Baltimore and then go from there. Now, today, we just can't end it there, can we? We got to show some love. We got to show some love to our AJC army. Everybody who's currently in the chat right now. Okay? You got a shot at winning a kit. Okay? And let's make it one of the new ones. The black with Chiesa on the back, all right? So, if you want this one, how are we going to give this one away? How do we do this?
That's a good question.
Yeah, Abby Chic in here. Oh, hello, Marcella. Oh, yeah. See, we have a bunch tuning in here, but a little quiet. Let's go. How are we going to give this one away?
All right.
Like the Oprah show, you get a kit, you get a kit, you get a kit. How are we going to dish this one out? How are we going to do this one for everybody here? Should we do a little trivia?
That's what I was thinking, actually.
Yeah. See, it's kind of... let's see how we can do this. Got to find a trivia question, I guess. Okay, we can do this. We can do this rather quickly here, okay? We're going to do this based on same thing. Pick a number between, maybe we'll go 1 and 30, everybody. Okay, so this will be between Joe and Lex. You two come up with a number between 1 and 30, okay?
I got one.
Well, you guys have to decide on one.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Telepathically?
No,
Yeah.
You can say it out. It doesn't have to be a secret. We need to know what the number is.
I'm thinking 22, Lex.
I was thinking 21.
Ooh, so which one do you want to go with? You got to pick one.
I think because
Hero's
it was
number.
Fed's. Let's go with 22 because that was Fed's number.
22? Okay.
It's a good one.
Oh my God, this thing is taking forever. What we're going to do. This is painful right now. Okay, 22. 22. What I'm looking for is the player, okay, that wore 22 from 07 to 2010. Quickest one to give me that gets the kit. Number 22, 07, 08 to 09, 10. Let's go. First one with it gets the kit.
Lex is picking Dybala numbers, 10 and 21. Yes, I am.
First one to
Nothing
give me
wrong
that.
with that.
Let's go. Let's go. Who's going to get
Everyone's
it?
on their phones like, oh, what's it? Who is it?
Oh, RB Cobbs
RB
jumps in there
Cobbs.
with Sissoko. RB. Congrats, my man. Congrats. RB gets it, all right? Gets the job done. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, everybody, don't worry. RB's got that one. I got the away with our boy Gatti, okay?
Wow.
Man, just in a giving mood today. It's not even Christmas.
Yeah.
Guys, I got the Ariston. I got another Ariston for everybody.
I have that one.
I got this one. This
And
beauty.
that one.
And then we got this
All
one.
beauties.
And that one.
Ooh.
There you go. But those aren't being given away right now, okay? Okay?
Oh,
Stay tuned for that. You subscribers are going to get more opportunities, okay? And yes, I'm repaying my debts for the one and only King of Cortomuso, okay? I made a bet. I'm a man of my word, okay? But massive congratulations to RB Comps. Reach out to me, brother. We'll get this one shipped off to you. The winner of the third kit with Fede Chiesa on the back, all right? You guys, I hope you enjoyed this little impromptu live. We weren't really set up to do or anything. Don't ask any questions about Henderson. That's obviously a trigger for the HAC channel as it cut our feed. But we got back into it. Hope you had a lot of fun. Enjoy your weekends. We got Sassuolo on Tuesday, okay? We're going to bring you the same thing. Preview show, first thing. Midweek games suck. I can't do a watch along, which hurts because I absolutely love them, all right? But we'll do the post-match podcast on Wednesday, all right? So, man, you know what? You were so close. RB got you by they almost came in at the same
was close.
time. You were so close. And even Sev was just behind. You know, we had all the Sissoko ones there. You guys were very, very close. But more kits coming up. And beyond kits, there's more giveaways coming, okay? As a massive thank you from us for all the support we get, okay? Lex, Joe, absolute pleasure as always, okay? Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And then hopefully we can spank Sassuolo on Tuesday and avenge that loss. And I think we will. Good news with Rabiot and Chiesa. Chiesa trained with the group today. Rabiot is set to train with the group tomorrow, all right? So, let's rock it and take it to those punks in Sassuolo. I think we got 3 goals coming. How Fiorentina did not score against that defense. Lex, I'm questioning your boy. I'm questioning the head of Lex FC Italiano.
Hey, Coach of the month. Philadelphia Coach of the month.
There you go. There you go. All right, everybody. As always, no matter what, fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. We'll see you real soon. I'll keep you in the loop with the news updates, all right? Take care, everybody.